All right, I'm here with Abdel Khawatmi today from Got Mortgages, a division of PRMV based in the lovely state of New Jersey. Abdel, how you doing today?
Good, man. Thank you. Appreciate you having us on.
Good. Let's dig right in. The Got Mortgage secret sauce, right? This is something that is so astounding to me. How you build up this brand, you've made yourself a innovator, somebody new, something that stands out in the crowd, right? If you had to break down why your team wins with this in just 3 words, what would they be?
Good question. I would say education, expectations, and communication. And I'll break that down even further. Education falls down into obviously us knowing products, Fannie, Freddie, all that fun stuff, non QM stuff, to online presence, like how you and I connected on social media, on being able to stay consistent. And I should follow up and doing all three of those things with consistency and following up on your content where I mean, dude, there's even till this day, I'll shoot a video and I'll get like 300 views on Instagram because Instagram is blacklisting me because I friend requested too many people. My content doesn't stop though. Where if it doesn't really pick up too much traction on, say, Instagram, it might pick up traction on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or somewhere. Or I ended up re-downloading Threads since the TikTok potential ban, and I never
Really?
undownloaded it. Yeah, because Threads was like it was a spin-off of Twitter, and I ended up downloading it back again. So that's a whole nother topic. But then expectations, right? I'm a big advocate for setting proper expectations with consumers. And I split a transaction, I might have said this to you before, into 4 different phases with a client. It's the initial touch to their pre-approval to finding a home, their under contract to closing, and then post-closing. And each one requires different sets of expectations. Where the first one is a financial documents review, thorough analysis, thorough explanation, hopes and dreams. What are you looking for and all that? The second part being like, how's the home search going? Anything pique your interest? Hey, sorry, we lost out on that offer. Let's work on getting you away from being discouraged. To post contract, which is my favorite, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday updates consistently on what's going on a contract. Hey, appraisal's ordered. Hey, appraisal came back. Hey, loans approved. Hey, these are the conditions. My team send it out in a table format. Everyone's on there. Attorney, we need an EMD letter from you. Agent, we need, say, these addendums from you, get it over to us. So everyone's on there, right? And then post closing, we'll have various platforms where it's bomb videos that are being sent out to the consumer. Hey, what's up? Happy holiday, yada yada yada. Pleasure working with you. Personalized. To Box and Bestow is a new platform we started using within Encompass, so it's automatically going out to consumers. Clients are getting gifts and they're like, holy crap, this is awesome. I mean, that basically piggybacks into communication too, right? Where those are really, I would say, the top 3 words and top 3 strategies that we're implementing and have been implementing for quite some time, and it's bringing us a lot of success.
So the Got Mortgage brand is more than just a branding. You have everything planned out, and it seems like that execution, the way that you're doing that, extends from not just like your social media presence, but your everyday life. That's amazing.
Yeah, and you know me, I don't wear anything but my Got Mortgages brand.
Which is great. And dude, you're a hustler, right? And that's one of the things I love about you the most is you know how to work hard, right? So let's talk about this LO hustle test, right? If you dropped like a brand new loan officer in a market, let's say, Topeka, Kansas, right? With 0 leads, 0 contacts, 0 social presence, what's the exact first move they should do?
I love that. The first thing I do when we sit down with our loan officers is I have them go through actually like a Got Mortgages training university where we're going to first identify what are the resources that are accessible to you, because everyone has a million different tools and PRMG is awesome at giving us all the tools. And I'm sure there's great companies out there that are like that as well. But what are the tools that you're going to use to be successful? And actually, even before we do that, we need to identify your business into 3 avenues, which is sales, service, and support. So what resources are you going to use towards sales? So lead generation for both consumer and B2B. And then identifying B2B. It's not just real estate agents we want to go after. It's financial advisors, it's CPAs, it's divorce attorneys, it's title, it's various different professionals that can be that advocate for you to a real estate professional, allowing you to grow that much more. And then on your service side of your business, right, is really where it comes down to, do you have the right support staff? And if you're a loan officer, even if you have no idea what you're talking about, Who is going to help me follow up on behalf of my clients? Are there sales admins that can do that for me? Or am I the one that's supposed to do that? And if I have to do that, at what point do I have to get to in order for me to be able to have the ability to delegate? Whether it's closing $1 million in volume a month or doing anything like that, at what point? Because I don't want to be in this business 2 years or 3 years or 2 months down the road doing the same exact activities. I need to be able to delegate to somebody else, right? And then the last thing is support, which is, again, what avenues of social media and online exposure? Google pay-per-click. Can you help set up your agents on Google local services ads? Obviously, your typical Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube videos. Do you have platforms like Social Coach and various different avenues that you're going to shoot content, time block it right within your calendar for those 3: sales, service, and support, and execute thereafter?
That's a lot, like, which is awesome. The way that you rip that out so fast tells me you have this down pat, right? You could take anybody and make this work. Of all those things, what's the first thing to do?
Write down the access to tools and resources that you have. We'll sit down together and figure out a plan how to execute them.
Take the minute to step back, do your thing. I love it. I love it. All right. What's one piece of common wisdom in the mortgage industry that you think is absolute nonsense?
Dude, there's a lot. I would probably say there is no one size fits all mortgage, right? And there is no one size fits all interest rate. So, so many times I sit down with a consumer. Like I said, we'll go through those 4 stages. By the time I'm in that 3rd stage, before I lock their interest rate, I'll be like, hey, so we need to jump on Zoom. We need to do what's called an advisory call and really pick what interest rate works best for you. And I'm sure there's many solid professionals that do that. So what we will do is we will basically do our research in advance, right? And find out, okay, if I was to lock this consumer at, say, 6.5, right, they have to pay, say, 1.5 points. Versus if I lock a consumer at, say, 7%, they maybe are at par and they don't have to pay anything, right? The average consumer, if I lead immediately and say, hey, I got 6.5 or 7, which one do you want? Of course, you're going to pay 6.5 because it sounds cooler. But if I sit there and tell you, hey, now you're going to pay an extra $200 a month and your break-even point is, say, in 10 years, we will more than likely refi before that. Here's your break-even point, and here's how much you're saving up front versus how much you're paying a little bit more monthly. Does that make sense? And I have seen that, many consumers are like, well, the immediate conversation is, what's my interest rate? And my response every single time is, I have no idea. In order for me as a mortgage professional to give you a real accurate answer, there's something called the 4 C's. So I need to identify your credit score. I need to identify what you're purchasing, so your collateral. I need to identify your capital, how much money you're expecting to put down, so your loan to value will be identified. And then the last thing I need to understand is your capacity to repay the loan. Does it make sense to put 20% down versus 15% down? Because right now, conventional interest rate loan level price adjustments are actually better, putting 15% down versus 20% down, which many people don't know.
Really?
Yeah. The loan level price adjustments, depending on your credit score, if you're putting 15% down, the rate risk credit is actually a little bit better because you're going to have temporary mortgage insurance. So it's less of a risk than if you put 20. So there's so many conversations I have with the client. So you tell me, Mr. Consumer, I'm not going to tell you the interest rate, monthly payment, cash to close, which option makes better sense for you. And then you'll be surprised. 99% of the time, slightly pick the higher interest rate because it makes more financial sense. Now, if you have the capital to burn or spend, I should say, and you necessarily don't want to have paid more capital gains or whatever the case may be, then you put a little bit more money down, maybe buy an extra point or so in order to get the lowest monthly payment budget for yourself. So,
dude, that's awesome. I love that. What you're talking about earlier is that empathy and creating a custom experience for every single borrower. And I think that's the difference in a risk of upsetting some really powerful companies. I'm going to go ahead and just say anyway. I think that's the benefit of a retail person, expert at the local level versus an online company. And because you don't get that personalization, you don't you're going to pick your rate, but you don't have any understanding or help of walking through that. This is the biggest financial decision that people are going to make in their lives, and they don't have an expert along with them, kind of locked in hands, they may make the wrong choice. And I think the case in point with putting down 15 versus 20%, where that might make sense for you, that blew my mind, dude. I had never even thought or considered that. I would be like, I don't want PMI. I'm going to put at least 20% down.
And there's, even some people are like, hey, I don't want to pay PMI. And then it's usually like, well, why the hell don't you want to pay PMI? It's like $100 a month or $50 a month. I could save you 40 grand, right? On 5%.
Dude.
Now you can also prepay your mortgage insurance if you really wanted to, or we had to do it from a qualification perspective. And the difference on the cost of doing a single premium upfront mortgage insurance is actually cheaper than the entire 5% down. So if it really makes you feel better, we can look at that option too, right? But I would be remiss to not tell you about it, and not educate you about it. And then you could tell me, go kick rocks, and we'll stick to the status quo and the plan at hand. Or we could really start veering and starting to look at that option too.
How many states are you licensed in?
So with PRMG, we're throughout the nation. But personally, directly, my heavy focus of the business is Jersey, PA, Florida. And it's really Jersey, PA, right? Yeah. It's not about how many businesses that you have or how many locations that you have or any of that stuff, right? It's just being that hyper local professional that you mentioned a couple seconds ago. Yeah. And then really focusing on that, I think is just uber critical, rather than being able to just, wanting to put your hand in this basket and that basket and then really end up doing a little bit of nothing. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Let's transition. We're gonna go to rapid fire round. So I'm gonna ask a question, you're gonna answer it, and it's gonna be fun. All right. What's the most overrated thing loan officers stress about?
Closings.
Most underrated way to build a mortgage business?
Branding.
Biggest mistake LOs make when trying to scale?
Not doing it at all.
That's a good one. Yeah. If you could only market yourself in one way, what would it be?
Social media, short form video content.
Let's go. Last one. One thing LOs should stop doing immediately.
Talking about themselves and advocating for the consumer and live scenarios of what they have going on.
I love it. All right, Abdel, how can people in PA and Jersey get in touch with you? Or anywhere, really, because you can refer them to your favorite lender.
Gotmortgages.com. You can find me online. We are accessible throughout all multiple social media channels, and we're here cranking away.
Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.